Hello everybody, welcome to my first Tuesday Tips live stream. Please let me know if you can see me, if you can hear me. That'll really help me know if I figured this all out correctly. If you don't know me, my name is Valentina Vee. Today we have an extra exciting, super special stream because not only am I sharing my tips for how to edit fast, but I have a very special guest with me. Let's see. People can see me, people can hear me. That's awesome to hear. First things first, what I want to do is provide you with the assets for today's class so that you don't have to take notes. Now, I still recommend taking notes for today's class because you never know. I might be answering some of your questions and it might throw a wrench into my careful plans. But if you would like to take notes, or if you would like to rather receive the notes that I've made, go to this URL right here on the screen, which I realize is covering my entire face. Perfect. Let me move it down a little bit. How's that? adobe.ly/tipstuesday. If you go to that URL, you will not only be able to receive the actual manual that I made for this class with all of the tips and with everything written out, but you will also be able to view a live stream replay of this live stream. Does that make sense? Jackie says, love the bokeh. Thank you, Jackie. I'm so happy you're here. And thank you for helping me with my manual that I wrote. Nikisha is here. Let me know where you are tuning in from. I'm tuning in from Los Angeles. I would like to know, and we'll keep the good times rolling. If at any point this stream interrupts because Wi-Fi problems or anything else happens, please do let me know and I will try to get that sorted. But for now, drumroll please, I would like to introduce our special guest, Ryan Connolly from Film Riot. Hello, Ryan.
What's up? How you doing?
I'm doing good. Thank you for joining me, and give us a little bit of an intro to yourself so that we can learn about you, but also test your audio.
Sure. we just need to test the audio. Yeah, sure. I'm a filmmaker. I'm the host creator of Film Riot. Film Riot's going to be 11 years old.
Oh my goodness.
I think it's like 3 weeks now. It's in May. I think it's like May 19th.
Well, happy anniversary. Happy birthday to Film Riot.
Yeah, last year was 10 year, which was like, I'm sorry, wait, what? It's crazy. And we also we started in Florida, and I was like born and raised in Florida, and once we hit the point where Film Riot was happening longer in Texas than it was in Florida, it just does not make sense. Like, it feels like to me, even to this day, like I did Film Riot way longer in Florida than Texas, but it was only 3 years in Florida.
Some people,
that has nothing to do with
sorry,
it.
Ryan. Some people in the chat room are saying that you have a big echo, but I think I fixed it. So, Kat says that the echo seems so cinematic, but I think I might have fixed the echo. So let me know if I fixed the echo. All right, Ryan, continue.
I did like Bill Pullman style yell, "Today is our Independence Day." It's a dramatic effect, and they've ruined it. But yeah, no, I started Film Riot like I think it was like 5 years after film school, something like that. Or 4 years after film
Sorry,
school. somewhere
people are
in
still
that.
saying there's an echo. That is
It's for dramatic effect.
weird. Yeah.
Stop stealing my thunder, bro.
I'm so sorry. Trying to figure out why there's an echo.
Oh, it looks nice though. At least we both got that nice, cool background going on. I mean, not cool like yo, so cool, bro, but cool like color. You know.
Maybe Ryan. I have no idea why there's an echo. Kat says totally works. It's fine. Keep going. I did it. I fixed it. People are saying I fixed it. Okay, let's keep going.
You've done it. My God, you're a hero. You're basically a live stream hero. Do you want me to keep rambling?
Please.
Okay.
Okay, it's fixed.
Yeah, I started Film Riot like 5 years after film school with the whole idea of what it said in the beginning, which I've been saying a lot lately in like in stuff like this of the original show. The opening was, you want to be a filmmaker, so do I. Let's figure it out. So it was always
I love
the
that
idea of like thanks, like not hey, I'm your film instructor, but I don't know what I'm doing. You want to come along with me while I figure that out? That sort of thing. Because I just thought it'd be cool to create something where, we started very, very green, even though I was, 4 or 5 years out of film school. I made a ton of short films. So I had some experience under my belt, but some experience is no experience. You have a lot longer of a road to travel. And I thought, how cool if I started that now and was just open and honest about that now. Kind of thinking like just reversing back to like 15, 16, 17-year-old me of like, what would I kill for back then? It's like, this I would have killed for this.
What do you think your 16, 17-year-old self would think about you right now? Like, would your 16-year-old self think you're cool?
Probably not. I'm like, what a loser. No, I think that's why we do the show, and that's why we do the show how we do it. It's like based off of me and Josh is starting to run the show more and more and take over more and more, which is really cool because Josh is also a filmmaker. He's a writer, director, producer, and he's come up in the school of Film Riot, which is really cool because I film school. Film Riot was literally his film school, so he's learned by doing own.
It was literally my film school too, Ryan, honestly.
What?
I know. I can't believe I'm here interviewing you anyway.
And now you make me look like a child who doesn't know what he's doing. Student becomes the master, I guess.
I did want to ask, because we are talking about, how to make your editing faster. If there was anything that in your 10 years of doing Film Riot that you've like improved upon in your workflow to make it faster.
Yeah, there's a ton of things. And I mean, admittedly, I am a writer director. That's like, we're all like 1,000 things. But like, if I had to pick one, like once it moves in out of that like one-man band situation into like an actual pipeline, I'm a writer director. That's what I do. So I adore editing, and secondary to those two things, I would say I'm an editor, but I'm not like Lucas Harder, who's my editor. You're a much better editor than I am. Like, you guys are so organized and everything. It's been like over time finding those tricks like you're talking about that have really helped me. And I mean, editing is something that even if you are like myself, a writer director, and I don't think I'll ever edit another one of my short films myself again, and I don't think I would ever edit my features myself. However, I can get my hands dirty. I can dive in there and do that. And not only that, I can talk to Lucas, my editor, in really valuable shorthand ways, because I know what I'm talking. I know how to edit. So that's like, it's it's really important. Finding those shortcuts are really important, even if you are the one sitting on the couch not touching the tool. So it's really important to find those things. But
so what are those shortcuts that you like?
One is, and it's interesting because it kind of depends on the project, right? So you have like Film Riot, you have sketches, which are like mini shorts, and then you have like full-blown short films or even larger projects. But for all of the above, something I do every single time, especially with sketches and short films and such, is pulling selects and doing pancake timelines to begin with.
That's a great tip.
Oh, it is the best. Once I found that, I forget who taught it to me, but I've been doing that for, years now. But before it was just going, it was just it's one of those things that once you figure it out, you're like, I'm an idiot. I am an idiot. Why was I doing it like the other way? Because, you go through, you have first you structure, obviously. The first thing you do is depending on how big the project is, a day, 2 days, to weeks, depending on the size of the project.
Yep.
Is you're just cataloging all your footage. You're going through, you're renaming things so you can find them quickly. You're creating.
Speaking of, did it take you a while to do that? Because I know when I was starting out, everything was just in one folder, disorganized, no bins.
Shamefully, I will admit, there was a point in my life where I didn't have a single. Everything was just vomited right into the project.
Yep.
And it took
but
me
you
a
know
while
what? That's okay, because a lot of people start that way, and a lot of people don't even know that you can make folders.
Totally. And I got a short attention span, and I think we all, once you shoot something, you're excited, you want to get in there, you want to start cutting. So it's very easy to skip that extremely important foundational step, so the whole house doesn't collapse on you, and just start cutting, and then wish you never did what you just did, and then you just find yourself, and then there's stuff on your desktop, and it's like, oh my god, what are you doing? No, project folder. So even outside of the suite itself, like inside of the folder you create for the project on your hard drive
100%.
also needs to be incredibly structured and all in one place, because if you ever need to pass that off to someone else, then it just becomes a freaking nightmare,
right?
But creating your folder structure, and once I have that, then going through say a specific scene, scene 2, whatever, and then going through and then pulling all the selects, and depending on what the scene is exactly, I may do it all in one timeline, or I may do several timelines, like all your coverage in one timeline, all my coverage in the other timeline. That way I can easily bounce back and forth, and sequentially, so your best moments from A to Z, not A, Y, C, F, D, you know what I mean? So it's sequentially, so it's very easy to go back and be, where's that? And then if you have multiple angles of the same moment, stacking those. That way I can go through and I can look at that line.
You mean like up on different tracks?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. So instead of having a ton of instances of the exact same line, you just have all those versions right there, and then you can quickly audition those to see if there's a better, because there's so many times, even working with Lucas, whereas do we have another read of that, because the nuanced in a moment of how you just say, well, the nuance of how you said well, what your eyes are doing when you said well, are going to mean totally different things. So being able to audition those very quickly, not only does it make you move faster, but it lets you be more creative more easily, because sometimes if you don't structure in that way, you'll miss some things that were just that slight nuance change made all the difference in the world. So pancake editing for me would probably be my number one.
Yeah, I would also say I think you use tracks to your advantage too, because you always have like an organization of where certain footage goes in which track, right?
Yeah, totally. In the actual edit itself, in the sequence of the actual project, as I'm cutting, every audio track and every video track is dedicated for something. Like for Film Riot, video 1 is my stand-ups only. So, if this was me talking to the camera, that would be on video 1 only. And then I can just dump an adjustment layer over that and grade the whole thing in one pass and not have to worry about things that are stacked above it. Then
so it's usually it's usually stand-ups, then adjustment layer, then B-roll, right? Okay.
Exactly, 100%. And then, because B-roll is not unified, you're going to have to go through and tweak that piece by piece anyway. And then on top of that, you would have any kind of titles or VFX. Probably VFX would be above that, titles above that. And short films are pretty similar. The first few tracks are the production footage. Above that would be any VFX. So if you have a shot that you sent out to VFX, I'm not deleting that out of my sequence. I'm leaving that there, but I'm going to put the VFX above that. So VFX, say if VFX start on V4, then that would be stacked up on V4. And then any, because especially in the earlier stages, you're going to have temp text in there saying this visual effect's missing, blah, blah, blah. That would be above that. And then, anything like a aspect ratio marker would be above that.
So what would you say is the project that you've had the most tracks on? Like, what is your track max? What was that?
I think Lucas actually maxed out something. I think it was video or audio. I can't remember.
No.
I think he did, but he had like ballistic. I would have to ask him, but it was like, dude, calm down. Rub it back. What's going on? That's so much. Me personally, it would probably be Sentinel, because I did the first sound pass actually in Premiere, and a lot of that we just kept. We just, so I kind of sound designed a lot of it right inside of Premiere, and then pass that off through my sound designer mixer, and that was pretty I think it was like 50 plus audio tracks, I want to say.
Oh my goodness.
So it was pretty stacked, but that's because it's not like 50 sounds are happening at one time. It's just because of the organization. Underneath with the audio, you're going to have your production sound, and then you're going to have your Foley, and then you're going to have your design.
Oh my god.
So
hold on,
my guy, get out of there.
It's the apocalypse. No, it's just my
earthquake.
My light gel came off. It's cool. We're good. We're back on. I mean, it's a good thing I was wearing pants.
And we're back.
If you have any questions for Ryan, by the way, leave them in the chat because I can ask him. We have a few more minutes with Ryan. We started a couple minutes late. You know what? I feel like that is a success for a first chat, to start like only 2 minutes late. So
I'm glad
I feel good about it.
I feel for you. That's nerve-wracking. Another thing I do is actually with audio. With one thing that helps with, and the reason I do the tracks the way that I do them, is especially with Film Riot, because more often than not, there's so many episodes where, because of all the wheels that are turning in my company as a whole, an episode is thought of, shot, and finished in a day or two. And
that's a huge, fast turnaround. Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy. And with some things, it's not so bad, but Film Riot's not really a template show. It's different every time. Whereas our show, Variant, which I don't really cut on or anything like that anymore, it's very much a template show. You can kind of copy paste over. It's that's what the show is. With Film Riot, unfortunately, we don't usually have that luxury. So that can be difficult. So doing the tracks that way really makes it easy for me and Josh to pass things back and forth and work very quickly. So I'm usually finishing everything in Premiere. We don't go outside of it pretty much at all unless we absolutely have to.
The only things I really do is the dynamic link between After Effects and Premiere, like for certain clips, or
if you need the additional of the effects. But even like like text and stuff, I'll create a background maybe in Photoshop and just bring that in Premiere and just use Essential Graphics and just finish it in there. Because unless you need and get like real fancy with it, you can just do it in Premiere now, which is really nice. But going into the audio track mixer and applying your effects there just to a channel as a whole instead of to clips individually. If you do it to clips individually, often, especially if it's like a compressor, you get little pops between the clips. Where if you do it on the channel, it's more unified. It's also just quicker, and then it's easier to make adjustments on the fly. So it's super easy to like stack it like that, and then just grade your audio in that way.
Piercing the Sky has a question. What do you do that keeps you going when you lose motivation during a project? That's a really good question.
Ooh, deadlines are always the best motivator. So there are times where
this is true.
I don't have a hard and fast deadline. There's been times where I bet friends like, hey, if I don't have this to you by this date, I owe you $20, or just telling people that something I'm going to show you this on this day. And I hate saying something and not doing it, so that's a good motivator. But that's kind of the only thing I've found. There are times like for instance with writing, I'm currently writing a certain thing, and it was definitely like a chore, and I just didn't want to do it. And it's like, why do I not want to do this? And I found that there was something wrong in it. And the reason I didn't want to do it is because I could feel that the direction I was headed was wrong for the story. And then once I figured that out and shifted gears and went a new direction, all of a sudden, all the passion and all the excitement came flooding right back. And I was up till 4 a.m. that night, knocking stuff out. So there could be a factor of what you're doing that, internally, subconsciously, you're telling yourself that this is not the right pattern. You need to shift gears and get excited again. Because once those things really start to trigger, that there's an excitement to like, this is working, and then you just want to keep finding that and doing that.
100%. And I think something that for me is really important is deadlines. I just had a call with a client yesterday and they were like, what do you need? I'm like, I need to be told that I need to do a thing by a certain date. Because if you give me all the time in the world, I have other people, I have other clients, I have other things that I'm doing. I will not do it.
It's so true. Procrastination, it's a thing. It is a thing. And sometimes you have to procrastinate a little bit to like give you that, that buffer to let lightning strike
Absolutely.
a little.
Yep.
There's also those times like, here's a concept, great concept. We want a treatment. Crap. Now I actually have to break the story. I got to figure out who the character is. I got to figure out what the actual plot is, because it was just like, and doing that can be very frustrating. And sometimes just, backing off, you go take a shower, you just chill, relax. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh wait, that's it. It just kind of like pops out of nowhere. And I feel like even I'm like kind of specifically talking about writing, but that editing is the exact same way for me. There's been so many times where I got stuck in a scene where it wasn't really working how it was shot. So, you're rewriting in post, and just figuring out what is the thing. And then all of a sudden, if I grab that one take from later, pop it in here. When we did Ballistic, we lucked out with having this huge, which Ballistic was an action sci-fi short film I did in 2018. And it was one of the larger ones we've done. And there's like a lot of moving parts to how it works. And we shot all this stuff in LA all during the day, all action stuff first. And then there was a block of time in between, and then all the night stuff that cut in between, because we like cut back and forth between past and present. And having that huge gap in between allowed Lucas and I to go and edit what we had so far and look at the film, see how it was feeling. And we realized narratively how it was written wasn't really fully gonna work, that we needed these little moments. And we just went and grabbed like stock footage to try that out, or little bits. And they ended up being these very subjective like memory flashes that are in the film now. But we found that because we were cutting and then rewrote the thing while cutting, and then thankfully we were still shooting, so we went and shot all this extra stuff to actually do that in the end. And that's what made like the narrative flow work.
I wish I could talk to you for hours, and I probably
forever.
I'll hit you up, but we do have a lesson to get to. So I just want to give a big thank you, and the chat room, if you want to say something nice to Ryan, go follow him on social media. He is a wealth of knowledge. Check out Film Riot as well. And then Ryan, you also have a stream coming up, if I am correct, right?
With you all with Adobe.
Yes, that's right.
May 7th, I think it is.
It is. Right?
Am I right? Am I wrong?
I have it up on screen right now, so people can take a look at that. So
I'm almost positive it's May 7th. So I'm gonna stick to May 7th confidently. I'm gonna say confidently May 7th.
So for
and then it's gonna be totally wrong.
What did I just do? For more from Ryan, you can check that out. Thank you so much for joining my stream today. You're awesome. And now it's time for some learning. Bye.
Absolutely. See ya.
All right. So, welcome back. It's just me now, hopefully. It's just me on screen. And I'm going to switch over to showing you my Premiere Pro screen. So if you can see it, let me know. You should also be able to hear me. Please do let me know if you see and hear all of that. I have a bunch of projects that I'd like to show you today, and they're all open at the exact same time on Premiere Pro. Something that you can do on Premiere is have a bunch of projects open. Chris, Mariana, Luke, everyone says that they can see it. Great. So here I have a bunch of projects open. One fun thing that I do want to point out is if you do have a lot of projects open and you can't find your project in your project window, one thing that you can do is just right click on the name of the project. So if you right click on it, you can just go to reveal sequence in project, or right click on the name of the sequence and you can find it. So here is my project for a commercial that I was making for a bag, for like a fanny pack type hip bag. And as you can see, I have it all organized right here in my bins. I have my footage bin, my music bin, my voiceover bin, my graphics bin, etc., etc. So this is what we're going to be working on today. And the first thing I want to talk about is how do you make your footage playback faster? Now, I have a supercomputer, right? So no matter where I start playing, it'll go pretty smoothly.
Up to 4 lenses, such as the popular moment lenses.
I mean, the music is quite loud, so let me just mute that for a second. But
just zip open the flip-down pouch and attach your desired lens. Or you can get the prime.
You can see it plays through. It might be a little bit...
moment lenses.
You know, it's fine. Sometimes your computer may not play it through because maybe you don't have enough RAM, or you don't have, maybe you have heavy effects on something. So let's put a heavy effect on and then see what happens. So before this clip was playing through pretty smoothly. Whoop.
Moment lenses.
But if I place something like, I don't know, let's go into my favorites, something like a reduce noise on it, immediately you can see up top here, it has changed from a yellow line to a red line, which means that it's gonna be a little bit tougher to play back. So let's play that back now.
Moment lenses.
Oh, well, looks like I have a super duper computer, because even then it plays back smoothly. Let me see if I apply this effect, if it'll play smoothly. Oh, it might crash. All of Premiere Pro. Perfect. We're just gonna get back to it. Don't worry about it. If you have any questions, let me know. Also, I have the entire manual right here. So if you want to go to the manual and check out what I'm doing, you can go there and take a look at it. I have put all that together for you to help you understand what I'm doing, what I'm showing. Also, this is live and things happen. So you never know. All right, here, I'm back. All right, so the one thing that I do want to show you is if your footage is playing back very slowly, very clunky, you have different playback resolutions that you can choose. So here in either your program window or your source window, you can go down to the drop-down menu next to the wrench, and you can choose a different playback resolution, and that will allow you to play it back a lot smoother. If you want to play back a clip smoother, say it's like a 4K clip, and you need it to play back smoother, let's go to this one, Reveal in Project, and it's here in your source window. That's a terrible sound. You can also choose that. If that is still not enough for you, if it's still playing back pretty clunky, you can go to you can do a couple different things. You can render that section, so you can select a section like, okay, I'm going to select this entire section by dragging a marquee around it, and then I will go up to sequence render selection, and it'll take a little moment to render, but after it does, that red line is going to turn green, and then once it's green, it's going to play back smoothly for you. You know, here I had like 5 clips stacked on top of each other. Another thing you can do is you can go and check out, allocate more RAM for your Premiere Pro as opposed to the other programs on your computer. So if you go to File or Edit on PC, and you go to Preferences and then select General. Hello? Yep. You can go into Memory, and then right here it says Installed RAM, and then RAM reserved for other applications. So you can choose how much RAM you want to allocate for Premiere Pro. Fortunately, I have a lot of RAM, so I don't have that problem because, again, working on a supercomputer here. So that's my first hot tip. Let's move on to tip number 2, which is, hold on, I'm like going between like 300 videos. Hover Scrub and Freeform View. So let's open up a project here. Let's open up this one. Hopefully it'll open up pretty quickly. Sequences. There we go. All right. So let's say I'm putting together this project right here. It's a fashion project. Let me look at all of the footage. It looks like all of the footage. Let me just clean this up a little bit. All right, right here. Can you see it? Got to make sure that you can see my screen. Okay, so right here, footage is divided into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 folders because there were 7 people shooting that day. So there's footage from each of the 7 people in each folder. So what I want to do is I want to, instead of dragging hours and hours of footage into my timeline, I want to pre-cut a little bit of that footage so that I make what Ryan just mentioned, which are select sequences. So I'll go first into my sequences, and my sequences bin, and I'll create a new sequence by going to New Item down here. So I'll select that, and I'll go to Select Sequence, right? And I will go ahead and make a sequence with the sequence settings. Sorry, what's happening? There we go. 23.976, 1920 by 1080. So almost 24 frames per second, 23.976, that is the standard. And 1920 by 1080, that is the size right there. So I will name this sequence Elaine selects. So these are the selects from the Elaine folder over here. So if I go into the folder, still getting used to the zoomage. There we go. So if I go into the folder, you can see that all of the clips are in list view, but if I switch it over to icon view, and then I go into that folder, you can see that now they are thumbnails and they're loading up for me. So now I can go ahead and I can go thumbnail by thumbnail and start putting those clips into my timeline. So how's everything going? Let me know in the chat if you have any questions. I'm also monitoring the chat. Anissa, I did take the link off the screen. Thank you. I forgot that it was in there. So, one thing that you can do, right, is you can take all of these, select all of them, and drag them over, right? But now I've dragged over, I don't know, 25 minutes of footage, and that's not even all of it, right? If I drag all of them, so let me undo that, and go all, select all by going to Command A, and then dragging them in. Look at that. That is, oh my goodness, 2 hours of footage. I don't need all 2 hours. There's probably like maybe 3 minutes of actual good footage in this entire folder. So instead, I'm going to do a little bit of pre-editing with in and out points. So I'm gonna, first of all, make this track taller so that I could see it. I'm gonna just hover my mouse ever so gently over these, sorry. This is probably confusing because in the top left there's a different project. So let me select something else. There we go. But without the clip selected, I'm just gonna hover. One quick thing. Okay. So I'm just gonna hover. And then when I get to a point that I like, that I wanna keep, I'm gonna, there's a guy in the background here. There's people in the back. Maybe there's a piece in there that I can actually keep, like right there. So I'm gonna hit the I key on my keyboard for in point. I'm gonna hover to the end of where I will find that useful. I'm gonna hit the O key. And then I'm going to select it and then press dot or period. Sorry, do that again. In point, out point, period. So that puts the clip into my timeline right where my playhead was. So let's do that again. Maybe for this one. I'll go into here. You can also drag this little indicator at the bottom. It's right here, this indicator. You can use it and you can drag it around to find your in and out points. So you can find your in point and your out point, and then click I or O to put it into the timeline. You can also double click on the clip and then use your, and then it pulls up into your source monitor. Let's see here. So you can double click on the clip, it comes into your source monitor, and then you can scrub it through here by holding the time indicator, which is this blue mark, to select the in and out points, aka the sections of the clip that you want to insert. This clip doesn't really have one that I like, so I'll go to the next one. Maybe right there where it's in focus. So I'll go I'll move it to before she blinks again. I'll go O, and then I'll hit period, right? And then I can just go through all of the clips, select only the parts that are the best, that are in focus, that are, that are the best, and I can create a select sequence as I'm going through. And that way I already cut out a lot of the nonsense and the mess before I even start editing. And as you can see, every time I hit period, that clip comes into the timeline, right? So another thing, what if you want to put a clip in between two other clips? The first thing that you want to do, so for example, maybe I'll change the label on this last clip to purple so you can see it better. And maybe I'll change the label on this clip to yellow. All right, so I want to put a new clip into the timeline in between the purple and yellow clips. So the first thing I do is I put my current time indicator, which is the blue line, in between the two clips, right? But it's not really precise to be just dragging it back and forth. So to precisely snap it to the edge, all I do is click up and down on my keyboard. So up and down will just go to the next cut point. So that's the point right there where I want to put in my next select, right? My next select from my bin. So I'll go to, the next clip that I want to put in. Maybe it's this one. Yeah, right there, right? So I clicked I and O, and that created this region right here. So that is the region of the clip that I am going to insert into my sequence now, or into my timeline. And then if I click period now, what it does is it overwrites the purple clip. So basically gets rid of the front of the purple clip, or the head end of the purple clip, and it overwrites it, right? But say I don't want it to overwrite. I want it to insert, which means I want it to nudge the purple clip back. Then I press comma. So comma will nudge that purple clip back, because maybe I've decided that that purple clip needs to be at the very end of my selects bin, right? So as I go through and as I do more selects, you know, let me try like maybe this one. Nah, not that one. Maybe here, right? I'll go I, O, and then I'll click comma, and that'll insert it again into my timeline instead of overwriting on that purple clip. Does that make sense? Hoya Vision asked, do you need to have the magnet tool selected? I think what you mean is the snap in timeline, which the shortcut is S, and it's located right here. Snap. So the thing about the snapping tool is it doesn't need to be enabled for you to be able to snap your playhead to your cut point. But what does need to be enabled is your track selection, which is right here, the V1. So say I had, like for example, I had these. Let's get rid of the audio. To get rid of all of the audio at the same time, you know, if you click on each clip, it's linked with the audio, right? So if you click on it, it's linked with the audio. And you can select the clip, go to unlink, and then unlink it, and then select just the audio. Or you can just press Alt or Option, drag a marquee selection box around all of the audio clips and delete them. So let's work on just the video clips themselves for now. Let's bring these two clips up here. Let's bring the purple one up here. So now I have 3 tracks, right? And they all have different cut points that I'm trying to snap my playhead to. But only the first track is, I think my zoom tool is being weird. Hold on. All right. Only the first track, the track targeting is selected, which means it's active, right? So if I use my up and down arrows to go to the next cut point, it's only going to be active for that bottom track. If I select both the first and the second track, so let's make these on the second track mango, right? Then it's going to work, the up and down arrows are going to work for every single cut in both of those tracks, in the track that I made mango, the V2 track, and the V1 track, but not on the V3 track. Let me introduce a bunch of cuts here, right? Not on the V3 track. I can enable the V3 track now, and not enable it, I mean turn on the track targeting, and now it's going to go to every single cut in every single track. Pretty cool, right? Priyank says, tip, better to update keyboard shortcuts based on your personal preference, saves a lot of time. There are a bunch of keyboard shortcuts that are already built into Premiere Pro, and if you don't remember where they are, or you can't find them, or you want to make your own, then you can go to File on Mac, I believe, Edit on PC, and then Keyboard Shortcuts. And then that pulls up the keyboard shortcuts menu, and you can always look them up. Like for example, if you forgot snapping, right? Snap, you can look that up. You can literally type it into here, and then it'll tell you, oh yeah, the snapping shortcut, that is S, right? And you can set it for yourself. I'm gonna be telling you what Premiere's default shortcuts are, because that way you will know what the default shortcuts are. And then any other shortcuts that you want to make for yourself, you can go ahead and make them. So, everything making sense so far? I hope so. If you have any questions, let me know in the chat. I want to talk about another way to organize your footage other than bins like this. So remember just now we were looking at my footage bin and it had all of these people's names in them. So the footage was organized by who shot the footage, right? But if you look into each of these bins, like for example, his footage, right? It has the same girl, but it has the same other girl too. And if you look into, let's say, Jeremy's bin, if you open Jeremy's bin, it also is split up by different models. So we have this model, we have this model. So what if I want to arrange these in a way that I can see everyone's footage and it's not organized by who shot it, but it's organized however I want to organize it. This is a really cool feature. It's called Freeform View. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into my footage folder right here, and I'm going to just dump all of the clips into the footage folder without bins, right? So I can just take pretty much like all of Elaine's clips, let's say all of his clips, and I just move them to the main footage folder. So let me make it bigger. You can press the tilde key on your keyboard, which is the top left little squiggly line, to make that entire panel bigger. I can put Islam's footage, and it's all different names because they were all using different cameras, which is fine. Drag that into the footage bin. You know, I don't need that anymore, so I can delete that. I can maybe change them different colors, so I can label them different colors, and that'll help me, you know, still know whose footage is whose, for example, without them being in bins. So now I can delete Islam's folder, Jeremy's folder. Let me color all of Jeremy's clips. Let's label them as mango, for example, and take them out of that bin. All right, so I have 3 bins worth of 3 bins worth of clips in my main footage folder, right? So instead of viewing them like a list, like I'm doing now, or like thumbnails, which is how you view them in icon view, you can go over here to the bottom left, and there's a button called Freeform View. So if I click on Freeform View, at first it might not seem like it's doing a lot. It still looks like they're kind of in a grid structure, but I can then go ahead and I can start moving them wherever I want. So for example, already I see 3 red clips. So I'm going to put all the red clips together, right? Already I see I have some clips with this wall here. So I'm going to isolate all the clips that have the wall. And these are the clips that have the stairwell. These are the clips that have this lady in pink with the pink background. And then I have some more of the clips of the lady with the pink background. So I'm going to hold down Command as I click on all of them across my entire project. And I'll move them. I can, let's see, right click. I can go to, I can align to grid. I can do whatever I want with them. I can move this. You can scroll this however you want. You can make certain clips bigger, like say, like this clip is the most important one right here, right? So I can make that visually more important by right clicking and going to clip size, large or extra large. So I can make that large. I could say, okay, like these are going to be my options. And then, you know, these are going to be like the things that I don't want. And what's cool about the fact that I previously, you know, I color coded everything, right? So now you can see those colors here on the bottom right. So I still know whose camera it was that I'm using the footage from, but now I can actually see that, okay, like this was Jeremy's because this is orange. And these clips are green, so they're Islam's clips. And then these clips were the original clips from Elaine. So I can help myself organize an entire project visually inside of one bin, which is pretty cool. Kat says, this is seriously the best info on Premiere ever. Finally useful stuff other than basics. That's what I'm hoping to do. Hoya asked, do you recommend color coding your clips as you import? Yes, I color code them however I can, whenever I can, all the time. I also color code them in the timeline itself. So I'm going to press the tilde key again, which is the top left squiggly, to get out of there. And now that entire bin, all of my organization is here, and then I can do the same thing I did before. So if I want to, for example, I want to insert a clip. I want to insert this clip right here in between the two orange ones on my timeline, right? So let me set my in and out points. Let's say I want this part of the clip. Oh, that's actually a really good part of the clip. Okay, so I want that part of the clip, and I want to insert it in between my two orange clips. Now my two orange clips, as you can see, are on V2. So even if I put my playhead there and I go and I click comma, right, to insert, what happens? Oh, look, it inserts it on V1. Why does it do that? Because of a little thing called, now I want to get the name right, source patching. So whereas all of these tracks right here mean, oh, that's when I can manipulate tracks in my timeline, these mean, oh, that is where new clips will go. So right now I had the V1 selected, and that's why when I clicked comma, my clip went into V1. But if I select V2 instead and I press comma, my clip will go into V2. But the other thing it does is, because it inserts into V2, but it inserts across the entire project, right? So it cuts out the middle of that purple clip on V3, and it also cuts out the middle of that blue clip on V1. So what do I do to make sure that that clip that I'm inserting from my bin, from my source window, using the comma command doesn't do that? Let me lock the V3 and V1 layers. So I'll just go to the lock here, click lock, and now I can't do anything to them. Now that comma command, that insert command, will insert that clip into my second layer without moving or cutting any of the other layers, if that makes sense. Awesome. Looks like everyone's doing well in the chat. Again, I would like to say that if you are not taking any notes, don't you worry. You can go here, adobe.ly/tipstuesday, and you can see all of these notes. I already made them. So, and literally I'm just going down my notes. Something else that is going to make your editing a lot faster. So it's kind of annoying to, just watch playback. Let me put these back into one. It's kind of annoying to watch playback very, very slowly, right? Like maybe you just want to scrub through real quick. Well, you can just use, oh, you can't see me. Sorry, I forgot to do that. Now you can see me. First live stream, I think I'm doing pretty well. So it's pretty annoying to just play through the clips at regular speed. I'm the type of person that always wants a faster speed when I'm playing through clips. That's just me, because I don't have time. So what you can do is just use the JKL keys on your keyboard. So that scrubs through the footage much quicker and much faster. And as you can see, it's stalling a little bit because I'm scrubbing through it faster. So what can I do? Well, what we did earlier, you can change it. You can change the playback resolution. So I'll change it to 1/4. That way it will scroll, it'll scroll in time with my speed ups. So I'll just use L to fast forward. If I press L twice, it'll fast forward even quicker. So it's like pressing L once, that's 2x speed. Pressing L twice, that's 4x speed. So yeah, I can press L to fast forward. I can press K to pause, and I can press J to rewind. And again, pressing J twice will make it go even faster. Pressing it 3 times will make it go even faster. So if you're editing something like a really long documentary, a vlog where a person's talking forever, and you just want to find that point that is the most important to you, then you can always just use JKL keys to scrub through really quickly. If that makes sense. Erica says the document that I'm giving you, again, this document, is chock full of this info. Yes, it is chock full of this info. So go and check it out, because it's literally exactly what I'm doing right now. So moving on, I'm trying to breeze through this because we have so much left to do, and the stream is over in 4 minutes. So you know what? I will come back and I will finish all these tips at a later date. I promise you. But let's just do one more fun thing that is a lifesaver while you're here, right? Might as well. So here I am in my timeline, and I don't want to like edit these clips by going, okay, dragging this, then drawing a box around this, then moving this, then going to the blade tool, then cutting this, then selecting it, then deleting it, then moving a box around, then moving this. That takes so much time. There is a 100% faster way to do it. So let me show you. I'm doing undo. All right, so I'll just put my playhead where I want the clip to start, or maybe I don't want that clip at all. So if I don't want that first clip, I just press Command or Control D, and that deletes it. Then I move to the part where, actually, let me go to, I think I already have a string out here. Okay, do I? Yeah, I do. So I usually do this after I do my string out when I'm working on the full video, right? So at the top here, I have the video. Let me duplicate it. I duplicated it by just right-clicking and then going to duplicate. And I'm going to mute the music track because it's copyrighted, and also lock it so that I can't touch it, right? So here I have the video that I'm working on, right? And maybe I want to cut out that first one, so I go Command D, that deletes it. Maybe I want to cut out that second one. Okay, this one, I want it to start a little bit later. So at my playhead, I'm going to insert a cut, and I'm going to delete everything before my playhead and ripple everything after it forward by just clicking Q, right? Say I want to, let me label this as a magenta, for example. Say I want to trim the tail end of this magenta clip. I'm just going to press W, and that trims it at the playhead and ripples every clip that follows it forward. So I'm just going to press W. You see that? Pretty cool, right? So what if I want to do that multiple times to a clip? So you can insert a cut or, an edit into the clip at your playhead by going to Command or Control K. So that placed a cut there. And then I can use JKL keys to move forward, say here, and then press Q to cut the middle out. right? So again, let me say, for example, I am trying to cut out this section of this clip, right? Just this section. Can you see it? I'm just trying to cut out this section. So I'm going to put my playhead at the beginning of the section I'm trying to cut out. I'm going to do Command K. I'm then going to put my playhead at the end of the section that I'm trying to cut out and press Q. And that gets rid of it. And I don't have to do anything. Pretty cool, right? Say I had a big gap. Say I wanted to, I don't know, select all of this, right? But I don't want to have to zoom out like I just did. So I was zoomed in, right? But I want to select everything after this gap. But I don't want to have to zoom out. It's really easy. All you have to do is click A. That turns your mouse into what is called the track select forward tool. And you can just select everything after your mouse. And then go ahead and press V to go back to your regular cursor and move it forward to get rid of that gap. Or you can just click on the gap, right click, and go to ripple delete, and that gets rid of the gap as well. All right, everybody. I feel like this was a lot of information for one stream. I might have bitten off a little bit more than I could chew, which is fine because at least you got some learning in. There's going to be a lot more learning. It's going to be way more streamlined. Come back every Tuesday at 11. I'm going to be giving you way more tips. Go to adobe.ly/tips Tuesday to get the replay of this stream as well as the full notes for this stream. Thank you to everyone telling me I did a good job. I'm really glad that it worked. And I really want to share way more stuff with you. There's so much more that I want to share. If you go to this document, you'll see how much more I want to cover. So go ahead and do that. Also, I have a stream coming up next week with Shameless Maya, who's one of my dear friends. I have a stream on podcasting coming up the week after, and it's going to be a really good time. There's also a bunch of other streams from the Adobe community that are happening throughout the whole week and weeks ahead. So please do check those out. They're going to be amazing. A bunch of my friends, Ryan Connolly, who was here earlier, my friend Tyler, who is an Adobe resident right now. It's going to be awesome. Anissa says, breathe, Valentina, you did amazing. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. And until next time, next Tuesday at 11. Peace. I'll see you later.